The following podcast is a next level production.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I am Robert.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about the new movie, The Batman, that came out in 2022. And it just came out literally a few weeks ago. I believe it came out, I would say,
I would say about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it came out March 4th, 2022. Yeah. So far, it's grossed as far as $239 million.
Oh, last I looked, it actually was over 300.
Oh, okay. This is through Rotten Tomatoes I'm checking out right now, and
I checked. What was it? Like Wikipedia or something like that, but it had like the total number was like 360 something million.
Well, it's climbing, which is really good. Honestly, it comes in at 2 hours and 56 minutes for the movie. It's one of the higher grossing DC films that have come out. The first of which would have been Aquaman more than anything. And then following that, The Joker, as we all know. And then before that was Batman versus Superman and the Justice League as well. But this has gotten better reviews overall. And as I look at Rotten Tomatoes right now, the tomatometer, as it were, with 427 reviews, it's at 85%. And that's just regular reviewers. And then the audience score gave it 88%, which is really, really good. Eventually, that kind of fluctuates over time. But,
right.
It to me, honestly, this is where we'll move right into our overall first thoughts of the film. What were your first thoughts, Rob?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I went into this movie with very low expectations. And the reason for that was because of the announcement when they said Robert Pattinson was going to be the Batman. Mm-hmm. I was very skeptical about that. I was like, really? I just didn't think that, he didn't I don't know. I was never impressed with anything else he did. Yeah. But I have to say, once I saw this movie, I was pretty blown away on his take on it. The overall feeling of the movie was great also. I thought the way they did Gotham was great. I thought the way they handled the characters were great. Were there some nitpicks here and there? Of course, you're trying to go up against something like, The Dark Knight, which was... It's still to this day, a lot of people are saying that it's probably the most perfect superhero movie there is out there.
Yeah, it's like the threshold that people put, not as a superhero movie sometimes, but mostly as a Batman film. Aside from Tim Burton's first venture into putting out Batman, which we all love. I loved because I got to see it in theaters too.
Yeah, I did too. I've seen all of them with the exception of, I believe, is the 66 Batman one with the shark repellent.
But there's still humorous and fun to watch at times too. So you got to give it that pleasure too.
You watch something like that and you're like, it's a grown man in spandex with underwears outside walking around with a big gigantic bomb.
A bomb. And it says bomb on it too.
And it says bomb because God forbid, you yeah. No, it's and funny enough, those were fun times.
No, they were. But they are.
No, but this movie actually, I was very impressed. I was when I went to see it in the Dolby Cinema Theater, and I was very impressed with the sound quality. The visuals were great. Cinematography was phenomenal too.
Yeah.
Soundtrack was out of this world. Everything just really came together for this movie. Do I have some nitpicks? Absolutely, but that's with any movie.
Yeah, I actually saw it in the theater too myself. I sat down, got my soda and popcorn, watched it. My first thought, just like you, it's like Robert Pattinson, really? So he went from, I guess a vampire bat can be a Batman. So
there's a theme going here.
yeah, well, at least he's not a sparkly bat, which is really good. I think they got to the nitty gritty of the actual idea and thought of Bruce Wayne becoming the Batman, and that's what this particular movie was, and that's what really grasped me. Now, mind you, this movie has been in constant rewrites because initially, as we all know, Ben Affleck started to write this, and it was meant for him to direct, act, and I believe produce in this particular film. And he kind of bowed out because of his own personal issues that were going on in his life. Then he was going to go from acting to it to producing and maybe directing. And then he kind of shucked it aside and then eventually it laid in other people's hands. The initial script was still there, but they did a lot of rewrites. And as I followed the movie and how it progressed and where it got to that point, when I heard Robert Pattinson, I was like, okay, I need to see this and find out what the hell is going to go on with this movie, because really, you know, I'm not going to say Captain Sparkle Fingers like in Shazam, but Captain Vampire Sparkles playing Batman, I was a little bit skeptical. And I'm like,
yeah,
he doesn't have the build, he doesn't have the form, and the way they kind of brought it up, because it's only 2 years into the Batman story as we know, and he's still learning. And he's building his own equipment and all that stuff. Apparently, Wayne Manor is not really big, huge. They're going bankrupt at that point, too, because he's shoving all this money into other things. There are a whole bunch of things within the story that make sense of where it is. And I think it's a way for them to build more on it, because towards the end, that's when Bruce actually figures it out. My feeling was they did very well with the writing within it. And it's him literally feeling out how to be Batman. He is the detective within the movie, which really is perfect in it. But he's still learning to be Batman. And we see that in some of the hiccups and him, you know, doing the things he does as Batman. And I really enjoyed that. Like you, I had issues with certain things within the film and how it presented. It had its good comedic moments, as well as action moments. And then there are some where it's just like, wow, how did they do that? And I think Zoe Kravitz, Robert Pattinson, who else was in this?
Zoe Kravitz, Robert Pattinson. Then you had Edward Wright. No,
not Edward.
Edward. No. I mean, of course, Colin Farrell, who actually stole the show
as Penguin.
As Penguin, he was absolutely phenomenal. You got Paul Dano as the Riddler, which it was a very interesting choice.
Correct.
But it worked really well. Jeffrey Wright was the Commissioner Gordon. That's what I was thinking about.
Jeffrey Wright, yes, from Westworld. Yeah. We all know him from Westworld. Yeah.
And then Andy Serkis, you know, who was Alfred, and I liked his take on Alfred also. Mm-hmm. And then you got John Turturro, who was Falcone.
Yes.
And his Falcone was actually very interesting. His take on that was pretty good. They had some great stuff, like you were saying. Yeah, I mean, I had my issues, but other than that, I mean, they had some great stuff in there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the film overall. I'm not saying it was the greatest of Batman films. A lot of people will herald it as one of the better ones that have come out.
Right.
As far as my favorite Batman, Pattinson is not my favorite Batman, but because everybody goes with the time, oh, it's a new Batman, he's my new favorite. Very much like everybody telling me when I say, they ask me, what's my favorite Spider-Man? Actually, my favorite Spider-Man is Andrew Garfield. A lot of people are against that, and I understand that because everybody has their favorite. Tom Holland is really good at it, but my Spider-Man, who I think in my head over the years of reading comics as well as watching TV shows, and we already talked about this before.
Right.
We started recording 77 Batman, The Electric Company. We could go into the cartoons, all that stuff. But Andrew Garfield actually depicted it very well as Peter Parker and the turmoil he had, as well as being Spider-Man. And I thought, and I think you and I both agree with Ben Affleck being a very good mix of Bruce and Batman, right?
Correct. That is, till this day, that is my favorite Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He is the closest I think we'll ever get to the comic book version of Bruce Wayne and Batman. Out of all the actors, I mean, he was yoked. I mean, when you saw Ben Affleck, I mean, he was big. I mean, he worked out and, more than anybody else. Like I actually did a whole marathon of all the different Batman movies.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through Batman and Robin.
Nobody can.
It's really bad. But when you watch all these actors didn't seem to have worked out as much as Ben Affleck. So, and not only that, but when the way they portrayed Ben Affleck as a seasoned Batman that's been in the trenches now for decades.
Correct.
And his fighting style was just flawless compared to everybody else. Yeah, so he's still my favorite Batman, and I so would have wished to seen what his take on a solo movie with Ben Affleck. I think that would have been really special.
That would have been perfect. Unfortunately, we don't get a solo, but we do get a couple of cameos from him, supposedly, in the near future, which I'm looking forward to with the Flash movie.
Which got delayed. Yeah, unfortunately, but we will get it eventually. What did you think of the whole Rock thing, trying to tell you, hey, we got good news. We're delaying the movie.
Yeah, that was terrible. Honestly, a lot of us waited for DC fandom for that to come out. Between Black Adam, we got the Batman, we got the Flash. I think we got a sneak peek of even Aquaman too, and all that good stuff. And everything is delayed now. Everything is delayed. When I saw that, I feel like either all executives, after they saw the Batman, they went, shit, I think we're going to have to go back and redo some some exactly. things, because this thing is too good and what we have looks like crap. But it was just funny the way The Rock was like, hey, I got good news. We're going to delay it. I felt like he should have said, but you know what's better news? The MCU still has their shit together, so their stuff is going to come out on time. And yet DC hired, of all people, the guy who did the Suicide Squad. Oh man, yeah, exactly. James Gunn hit it perfect, and they knew it. They're like, oh, well, Marvel ditched him. Disney's going to ditch him for all this, cancel culture, and then we'll take him on, and then created a great movie nonetheless, in my opinion. I found it very entertaining, loved it. Yeah. But I think also points to the fact that we have to look at the Joker. When Joker came out with Joaquin Phoenix, that put a new pedestal level for them. And I think they were a little bit still skeptical because of everything that has been going on for the past 3 years until this movie got released. That Ben Affleck wasn't tied to it. There was none of that. Right. They have to start over from scratch. Oh, we got Robert Pattinson. Oh, do we want Glitter Boy in this movie? And I call him Glitter Boy because he still has that stigma. Yeah, he does. He does. And it's unfortunate because I got to see him in Tenet. I got to see him in a couple of other movies. And I'm like, okay, this man really knows his stuff. And he's a good actor. It's unfortunately... He's stuck with that stigma. He's being typecasted for that particular role. And just like with Water for Elephants, I thought that was a very decently well-made film. And it was... I never got to see that. It was done very well, depicted the time for its time. I'm forgetting what circus. I don't know if it was P.T. Barnum, but regardless, he played a really good character and role within that. And he could tell his dramatic roles more than anything. Right. Now, I was skeptical, just like everybody else, but I enjoyed the film, and I think he pulled it off. And it's a lot of like taking it off the same standpoint that Christian Bale did with Batman Begins. We saw him starting. Well, with this case, this is 2 years later of him starting, so he's been hiding within the shadows, but he's being more prominent and dealing with Gordon. He's helping out with investigations. He's learning to become more of the proficient detective he is. Right. But execution of his tactics of dealing with things is still workable in the sense that he's still sloppy. Correct. And I think they got that right. I think they really got that right. Yeah, interesting you say that, because a lot of people have been complaining about, oh, well,
I didn't see that much action. They didn't show that much, Bruce Wayne, and what people really didn't get is the fact that, yes, he's 2 years into being Batman. Mm-hmm. He's still trying to figure out how to be Batman. Just like in the movie, he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. So that's another part that he's still trying to figure out too. Towards the end of the movie, he realizes he also has to probably be Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
well, he's more Batman. It's like Batman being Bruce Wayne at this point.
Exactly. So I took it as, okay, so he's 2 years into. That's why when I saw it, even though his fighting was brutal, but it was sloppy. The Batmobile, I'm going to be very honest with you, not a big fan of that Batmobile.
No.
But its introduction on how they did that, that introduction to the Batmobile was phenomenal.
Yes.
So he has all these things that are very rough. You look at the Batcave, it's basically a train station. Mm-hmm. So it's all these things where he's just beginning. When you look at somebody like, let's say, Ben Affleck's Batman, after 20 or 30 years of him being Batman, mm-hmm. he's already figured it out.
He's grizzled. So, he's already matured.
He has the tech.
And battle fatigue at that point, too, because he's still bruised up. I think he would have been perfect for the Dark Knight Returns if they ever did that again. But whether Affleck ever did that, because I think he would have been perfect for it, because he's at that age. He could, honestly, he's about my age, so or our age at this point, so he could pull off the heavier, older, gruff-looking Bruce Wayne Batman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he would have done a great. And it's funny because I don't know if you ever seen the Berlanti, what was it? Crisis on Infinite Earth on CW, and they try to do what was it? Kevin Conroy.
Yep.
As Batman. I was like,
an alternate take of Batman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he might be the voice of Batman, but he's still not I didn't think
he doesn't have the presence.
No, and he I don't think he's a great actor because, voice actors, can be, or some can't. They can be great voice actors and horrible screen actors. He just didn't have that presence. But funny, I just thought, you know what? Yeah, this guy's starting 2 years into it. I like that. I like that everything was just kind of trying to figure it out. And if this goes the same way as Batman Begins, mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what Matt Reeves brings for the second movie. Because if he's gonna try to up what he did now, just like
gotta up the ante.
Like Christopher Nolan did with on his. My biggest gripe is, and I hope there's a lot of the villains gallery that or rogues gallery that Batman has is so big. I hope that Matt Reeves does something completely different and say, you know what, I'm not going to bring the Joker in, even though the Joker was seen towards the end.
Yeah,
I hope that he just comes up with other villains that that are much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Joker, like you said, was already done. Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger, I mean, they
nailed their own version of the Joker perfectly, in my opinion.
And how much better can it get after that?
No,
because it's funny because when Joaquin Phoenix was like, "Oh, Joaquin Phoenix doing the Joker," which he's a great actor. I was like, "All right, that's going to be interesting. How is he gonna beat that performance from Heath Ledger?" And he did in his own way.
Yeah.
So whoever comes in next is going to have to do something either completely different, or just get a different.
Villain.
Just a different villain. I mean, there's so many of them.
There's so many in his Rose Gallery that you could pull from.
Right.
We haven't really seen like the other wacky. We've seen Mr. Freeze, obviously. We've seen. We haven't seen the Man-Bat.
No, we have not.
I would love to see that. That would be interesting to move into a more creative or mysterious kind of Batman.
Although we are kind of getting a version of that with Morbius.
Yes. But DC could do it on a different spectrum at that point because it's more of a villain instead of an anti-hero. Because Morbius in Marvel Comics was evil, but then became good because he, and then he kind of morphed in. and he became more of an anti-hero like the Punisher and a few other of those Marvel characters. With Man-Bat, he was always evil because he was more of like the Connors or Doc Connors of Spider-Man, where he had issues. And I think that would have been best too, because it would be bringing more of the scientific side of Batman at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you,
I mean,
he's not coming out with the bat repellent or shark repellent as you were talking about, but I don't think they would do that.
I hope not. I think another good villain would be either redo Mr. Freeze.
Mm.
But I would say take it, in the much more serious tone, like what Paul Dini did with the animated series when they did that one episode,
Heart of Glass episode.
I
think that's what it was called.
I think to this day is the best.
That was the best story. Yeah, that was the best story, and they did it perfectly. They tried to do that with Batman and Robin, if you think about it. But in the sense that, Mr. Freeze kind of did all these things and it kind of screwed it up, and it became more of a mocking of that particular.
Well, Schumacher
90s.
just didn't have the, what I would say, the respect for the IP.
No.
That's how I see it. But Matt Reeves did say that he would like to explore also Clayface.
That would be amazing if they put it in more realism to some degree, because Clayface, and we've spoken to this outside of the podcast before.
Right.
My feeling is that Clayface was an actor and was able to manipulate his face in certain ways, but eventually that kind of led more of like a medical conditioner where he was truly clay. If they did that and did it more respectively to the comics as well as even with the 90s animated series, that would be nice within one particular film, and then bring him down. Now, mind you, a lot of people I know and get upset with Venom and how they disparaged or disregarded Carnage at one point with Venom. They got rid of him right away, and they want to see that character to come back, and they can't because they just got rid of them right away. At least with this particular film with the Batman, we still have Riddler. And with that, we were kind of, teased about the Joker, because you could only respect the way they were laughing at the end, that is the Joker.
Right. And Matt Reeves did say that he acknowledged that was the Joker. I know that the Joker and Batman are the, what is it? It's like oil and vinegar, or I don't know, salt and pepper, whatever. They just go hand in hand, but we've already seen way too many movies with that. Yeah,
Joker is always prominent with any of the films, between the Nolan films as well as the Burton films.
Right.
We already know that. The first Burton film started out with Joker, and then the second Nolan film had the Joker. Gotham got their Joker.
Right.
And, we've seen what they were able to do with that. Now, mind you, the show suffered towards the end. A lot of people were not into it, but it still held its ground. And for you listeners out there, obviously on the Next Level Online Podcast Network, you could listen to old DC Primetime, where Ben and his partner cover all of Gotham, or what they were doing with the Arrowverse or the Berlanti universe at that point. Steve and I covered Crisis on Infinite Earths, or Crisis X, or they didn't really call it Crisis on Infinite Earths when they did it, but Steve and I covered it. I enjoyed what Kevin Conroy had done with his Batman, but to me, it wasn't the Thomas Wayne Batman that I would always want to see. And I'm hoping we're going to get that with the Flash, but there are certain things that we could look forward to with other characters. Now, honestly, I don't think they're going to bring out Calendar Man or anything. They kind of made a joke about that in the Suicide Squad. So they're not going to bring up the jokey kind of stuff that we got in Batman 66 and, all those characters. But
and honestly, is there a place for it? I think there is. I mean, Suicide Squad, especially with Gunn, he showed that you can have a really good movie and still have those wacky characters in there.
Yeah,
Even
or
if
it
you,
can't
you know,
be. Even with Peacemaker, too, that just came out
Right.
recently.
which
that we
which
didn't
was
cover.
excellent, right?
Yeah.
Which was excellent. And so, can you have those campy, kind of characters and those silly characters in there? Yes.
Mm.
Merging them to like a more serious tone, like the Batman, that would be a lot harder. So, I mean, I think if they're going to keep going with the tone, which is very dark, just kind of a just a very darker version than we have ever gotten than anything else out there when it comes to Batman. If they're going to keep going with that, his rogue gallery is going to have to somehow be adapted to that. I mean, I don't think they're going to just all of a sudden get like Clayface or like Calendar Man, pull him in there, or like the Kite.
Oh, well, we already saw that through Lego Batman and all those particular weird characters. They did them in a row every time they announced them. Mustard Man or something like that. Or Condiment Man.
Yeah, exactly. Condiment Man. Yeah, exactly. He's it's funny. I was never a big DC person, and I was always Marvel, and I noticed that while Marvel does have its silly characters, I've noticed that DC had some really, really whacked out characters. I was like, what the hell, man?
Oh yeah.
But it's all enjoyable.
Yeah, well, the benefit to DC, they really hit it well with certain shows or movies. I think they hit it with the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I think they did it well with this particular movie, the Batman. And they did it with Aquaman, the first Aquaman. Now we're still waiting for the next one. Now, mind you, Nolan's Batman did great for 3 years or 3 movies. The first one was kind of hidden. Not many people were into it. And then eventually, by the time The Dark Knight came out, because of the overshadowedness of somebody passing away who was Joker,
right?
But Heath Ledger kicked it out of the park when it came to that portrayal. As far as the Dark Knight Rises, a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth with it, but I understand it. It's not your comic version of Bane, and honestly, I thought he was great at it. Honestly, he did very well, and to get yourself that buff to look like that character, to me, and to get a Bane like that, and it was a little bit more manipulative. It was, you're taking some sort of creative license with it, which is really good, and it tried to root it in realism, which I appreciated. Now, was it the greatest of greats out of the 3? No, I still herald The Dark Knight as better.
Right,
and that's the one I go to.
No, it is, and the third, Dark Knight Rises got a lot of buzz, and of course, the hype and everything, and it's just hard to beat The Dark Knight. I mean, it's very rare when you'll have a sequel to a movie that's better than the first one. Godfather is one of them. And they're just very
Empire.
few. Like I got Empire, right? Empire and stuff like that. Exactly. So this was one of those cases where, like, hey, The Dark Knight, yes, much better movie than all the other ones that they did. So I'm hoping Matt Reeves, surprises us.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we'll move right along into our favorite moments in the film. Do you have any particular one to start off with?
Yes, my absolute favorite moment has to be, and like I told you before, not a fan of the Batmobile. I understand it in this world. I understand why. This is his second year here. He doesn't probably have the R&D to make a better Batmobile. He just put something together. But the introduction of that Batmobile, the way the engine was whining, and I mean, I was watching in an Adobe theater, so the sound on it was just fucking phenomenal.
Oh, it's in your ears.
Yeah, it is. It was just great. That part right there. I mean, that whole sequence of him chasing the Penguin down and jumping through the flames. My only little thing on that was when he was walking outside of the Batmobile, which was kind of cool because they did it backwards, and all you see was him coming towards the car. They ended it with a peekaboo moment.
Yes. Well, literally, you hear it rev up, and it goes, "Kuh." And then Penguin's laughing, and then he comes out. I have to agree with that. That was a good reveal. Unfortunately, Bruce doesn't have Lucius Fox to build him all this stuff because he's been building it himself, if you think about it.
Right.
So he's literally taking from his garage and piecing things together what he can from his family's wealth.
It seems like Alfred is helping him, but yeah, it's one of those, hey, he's piecing all this together, and at some moment he's going to have somebody have to do this for him because he's like, I'm too busy punching people, to a bloody pulp. But no, the scene that I was talking about is like when he hit Colin Farrell's car, the Penguin, and it flipped around, and Colin Farrell's like upside down, and you see the Batman walking, and they put the camera upside down.
Yep.
I thought it was just a great show. That was the part that a great shot, and that was the part that was in the trailer. But then when he gets closer to the car, you see him just peek down, and you see his little ears, and I was like, you could have just ended it with his feet just there. That's it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, are you okay there?
Yeah. Well, they could have left it for dramatic license and just cut it there, like you said. It would have been nice. But
other than that, that was a great, great scene. There were a couple of scenes I would say that I liked. I had a problem with the back. What is the wingsuit?
Oh yeah, I had a problem with that too. That was my only issue. It was based in realism, which I understand. Right. It's a squirrel suit. Literally what they use to dive and fly out of or go cliff diving with. Now, mind you, to me, it looks like a big rubber boat that you have on you as you're falling. Now, it's not, the squirrel suits are nice because, it's based after the squirrels that could fly. They have that membrane and everything.
Right.
Now, mind you, he's supposed to be a bat. And typical comic readers or fans would always want the big wings.
The big wings
that
and stuff
we always
like that.
get. And honestly, I could see within the realism of what they were doing within us, maybe they'll enhance on that by the second movie.
Right.
And it'll change because he is building this stuff as he goes. So I'm hoping they resolve that and say, okay, maybe he does get Lucius Fox and Lucius, because now there's no Alfred. Alfred's gone. Now, that was one problem that I had with the movie, is that they killed Alfred off right away. And, the only benefit to that is he might be adopting some kid named Robin, because there was an orphan there at one point at the very end of the movie as well. So it kind of leads into other things that we could speculate that would happen within the next film. Now, mind you, the movie itself, what I liked, I think they took it from the story of Hush within the comics, which I really enjoyed. They were alluding to it with a lot of different characters that were involved with that, but they changed them a bit. And the fact that you didn't see, because we all grew up knowing the Riddler only had a small little mask around his eyes, and that was it, and he ran around, ha ha ha, riddle me this. Or we got the Jim Carrey version in Batman Forever. And, honestly, did I enjoy that movie for what it was as the humor and what we got, even regardless of bat nipples? I did. But the thing is that we were so under the assumption that Riddler had to be wearing that small mask, and you couldn't tell who he was. I really like that they rooted it in within that, so you didn't know who he was until the very end. And that opening scene at the very end when they capture him was amazing. And he had multiple IDs. That was genius. And I think you had something that we spoke about recently too, personally, that you really enjoyed about the movie, but it would have been a great twist.
Remind me on that one again, which was
at the diner when he's drinking his coffee and they all.
Oh no, that actually was that was somebody else. That was saying that it would have been a great twist if that was actually, what was it? That was Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
or something like that. Yeah,
because even though he was hiding behind the double pane glass outside and looking in, as they captured him. But he had multiple IDs, so you didn't know who he was, really. So that's literally where they're at, where they don't know who the Riddler really is. But he has some sort of association with Bruce.
Right. Actually, from what I've seen, the movie is based off of Hush, The Long Halloween, and Batman Year One by Frank Miller. So he took
pieces,
pieces of all of that. And there's another series which I'm forgetting now, but yeah, he took pieces from all those things and put them together. That's why the part of Falcone saying, hey, your dad, was, patching me up on in your house, and he was a small kid and he was looking. That I think that came from A Long Halloween, and of course the year one, a lot of the stuff that all that rough around the edges that was coming from the Frank Miller part of it. But yeah, no, they had some, like I said, they had some great moments that I truly enjoyed. Like I said, the Batmobile I enjoyed. The squirrel suit, here's the problem. I did not mind the fact that he did the squirrel suit. Mm-hmm. What I mind was the fact that when he landed, he should have been dead.
Oh, yeah, he should have been. The way he hit that. Yeah.
The way he hit the bus, the ground, and all he did was limp away. I was like, no, man, you should have been splattered. If you're going to base it off that much realism,
Somebody should have been able to be there to scoop him up and take him somewhere he could get taken care of.
Alfred should have been there with a bucket going, well, I'll just have to reassemble him when we get back to
exactly.
the house.
Hold on, I got this. And it would be more like the Christian Bale that we saw in, the third Batman movie that Nolan gave us, where he literally had his leg was busted and had to wear this brace on his leg that kind of cut off anything but gave him mobility. That would have been interesting, but they didn't have really the money and really thought power to put into it. But it would have been interesting. One of my favorite scenes that I loved is when he comes in as Batman into the club and starts battling his way through everybody.
Right.
Just reminded me of Daredevil on Netflix.
And funny enough, but it's something that's been done before, because I know Christian Bale did it with his Batman.
Yes.
You said Daredevil, but I thought when the door opened, he goes, "You know who I am," and the twins get the crap beat out of him. Then as he goes back as Bruce Wayne.
Yep, he has to do it again.
And he did it again. But he didn't beat the twins, but he just, he did it again. And then the third time was, all right, now I'm going in as Bruce Wayne, coming out as Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he had a backpack, which made it a little bit more realistic. It's like he has to pack his batsuit in order to get somewhere, which I liked.
Although that little backpack, and if he has that batsuit in that little backpack, he must have some kind of dimensional thing in there. Because I was like, that's a lot of gear for that little backpack. But
there is. But yeah, especially the weaponry that's on it, the gauntlets that are on there, his batarang on his chest.
But no, and you talking about his suit, it's one of the better suits. His
he's got mobility around his neck. He didn't have problems with looking over his shoulder like we used to get all the time. It's not made of rubber you can rip off like in Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, yeah.
There's a lot of thought involved with what they were doing within the film. Obviously, there are certain things that we're going to nitpick about, which we have, but it did well, and I thought they did.
I think it did well. I think it's a great start to what they're doing. It's unfortunate that DC, honestly, they just don't have their shit together as much as
Marvel.
Disney does. Yeah, Disney does when it comes to this kind of stuff. Because granted that Disney wanted, I think DC wanted to play catch up with the MCU, and it's like, and somebody should have said, "Listen, they already have a huge head start, so let's do our thing our way, and let's take our time with it, and people will come and see it." There was no reason for, hey, we should introduce the Justice League right away, or and things like that. They should have taken their time. And unfortunately, DC does not have, or Warner Brothers does not have somebody like in the MCU,
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, which Kevin Feige is the god of everything there, and it's what he says.
He's the overall content moderator for Marvel Disney.
Pretty much. He's the one that says, hey, listen, this is how it has to go, and that's why all their movies somehow, tend to work.
Yeah.
At one point, Warner Brothers even said, it's like, well, we don't have to have everybody in the same universe. That was their way of saying, it's like, listen, we just don't know how to do this shit the right way.
Yeah.
So sure, we're going to have the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix be its own universe.
Exactly.
We're going to have, now the Batman, that's its own universe and things like that. But somehow the head of Warner Brothers, who, Zack Snyder is the one that really kind of started this whole thing, did not want to acknowledge the Snyder Cut. And yet they're like, oh, we're moving into new territory, but yet you're still doing things within the DCU.
Yes.
So I just don't understand. Right, with the Flash
and Wonder Woman.
So and Aquaman, and that's the thing I don't understand. It's like, so if you don't want to acknowledge, Zack Snyder's universe, you're still doing it.
Well, they still did that in Peacemaker at the very end. And spoilers,
right.
If you guys did not watch Peacemaker, why are you listening to this particular podcast? So obviously at the very end, all the bad jokes that Peacemaker was making about the Justice League overall between, I think Stephen Amell actually made a joke about it too. Like, he made a comment about Arrow, what he said about how he had to make a big hole in his pants. And then Aquaman at the very end, talking about it's like, I don't screw fish. And then Flash turning around, but it's true.
But it's true.
And it's like, fuck you, Barry.
And, I wish, I don't know. And again, somehow, whatever, I wish I knew what the politics were, but somehow, whatever Zack Snyder did,
mm-hmm.
even though he went back and did his Snyder Cut, somehow the Warner Brothers and the higher ups don't want to acknowledge as the Snyder Cut as
part of that
universe. Yeah. They still want to do the Josh Whedon, saying the Josh Whedon one is the one, part of that,
which was still not that great in my opinion.
It was horrible.
It was entertaining, but did I love it? No. Was it a great movie? No. But honestly, the characters that were in there, you got Wonder Woman, we got Affleck. Cavill did pretty decent job in it for what he was given. Right. Same thing with Ezra Miller. But the thing is, it was the story, how it was formulated, how we got it, and all the crap that was thrown in there. And, it's like Ben, who did DC Primetime, does Wilhelm. He feels the same way that I do about Man of Steel, and a lot of people love that movie. Now, mind you, at the very end, he put everybody's life in harm's way. That's not Superman. Superman will not guide somebody's head to go through multiple buildings and aimed at people, put them in harm's way. No.
Well, I'm one of the people that I loved it. I love Man of Steel because it kind of showed a real what would happen if a real Superman existed in this world. I remember somebody that used to work with us. Mm-hmm. He says, well, didn't give him the trunks, and that's just that's a traditional thing. I was like, listen, any superhero nowadays that you see with their underwear outside their stuff just looks stupid.
Yeah.
All right. It was great in the 40s. It's not good now. I don't think Superman looks good with the red little tighty whities outside.
That led into the 90s too with Dean Cain. So
exactly. So that's one of those things where I was like, nah, I'm okay. But here's what's interesting about all that. Henry Cavill has expressed so many times that he would like to go back to doing Superman.
Yeah.
And they didn't put him in the end of Shazam.
Nope, they cut him out completely. They actually filmed it and he was there, supposedly.
Was he? I mean, I heard it was a different actor.
Really?
That's why they didn't show his head.
Well, who knows?
I mean, right. And then that ending of Suicide Squad, that was a completely different actor.
Yes.
For Superman and also for Wonder Woman, which that was also I found interesting. I mean, if they were going to get the other two, I don't understand why. But then I heard that, what was it? That scene with Aquaman and the Flash
and Peacemaker.
in Peacemaker, those were filmed separately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I think it was what was it? Jason Momoa was out filming, Aquaman, and Ezra Miller was filming The Flash, and somehow, Gunn got them to, say, hey, can you guys film this little part and we'll edit it together?
They pieced it in.
I was like, yeah, they pieced it in. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And I understand because there's no Superman or Wonder Woman being, shot now. So I'm sure they didn't bother with
Actually,
that.
they did CG them in, but they took them out, I was told. And
really?
Yeah.
There's just so many stories out there,
There's
man.
so many out there. We don't know the truth until we got to get a hold of John Cena and really clear it up because he probably knows. And James Gunn.
You probably have better chance than I would on that. So
I only get to see Sean Gunn at cons. I don't really get to see James Gunn anywhere.
But yeah, so I mean, those were my favorite scenes. I would say the Batmobile. I did have that problem with the wingsuit. And one of the things that I loved that was great was the like you said, the detective story was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
My other nitpick was when Alfred woke up in the hospital. Here's Batman. Here's Batman. First of all, Bruce Wayne's an asshole in this movie.
Yes.
He's a total dick because the way he treats Alfred is just horrible. Tells him that he's not his father, and then when the part with the cufflinks, he's like, "Oh, you think you're a Wayne now?" Yep. It's like these little jabs. Those, don't be a dick. And then here it is. This guy gets blown up.
Then he feels sorry for it.
Right. He wakes up. Alfred wakes up with this like
But he doesn't find out until later on, too.
Yeah, no, but it's like Alfred wakes up with this great look on his face, like, oh my God, he's there waiting for me. And what does Bruce say? You lied to me. I'm like, fuck, man. Give him... Dude, the guy just woke up. Hey,
maybe it was a good thing that he did die. He didn't have to deal with that jackass anymore.
Wait, they didn't kill him at the end. Where did they kill him?
I thought he died at the end, in my opinion.
No.
They just blew him
didn't
up.
die.
Oh, okay. I forgot.
Remember, he was in the hospital when. That's why he was in the hospital. Alfred went. But the thing is, like, he was just like, do you want some juice? Do you no, you lied to me. It's like, God damn, man, just rip the Band-Aid off. So those were the things about Bruce that I was just like, all right, I guess I'm glad I don't see that much of Bruce Wayne. I didn't like his haircut. It looked very emo.
And, well, the only thing that they got right is when he puts on the cowl, he has to put the black eyes underneath, which makes a lot of sense.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
Interesting choice because every other movie out there has the black eyes, but all of a sudden you see him out of the he takes off the mask
and it's all clean.
And it's all clean, yeah. Right? Because, look, it's really hard to replicate what we could do in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I thought that was actually very well done. So, again, I could nitpick all, till the cows come home. But overall, I thought it was just a great movie. I've seen it twice. The first time was, did I see what I just see? And then,
yeah, exactly.
And then when I saw it the second time, I really got to analyze it. So besides the car, one of my other favorite scenes was the beginning. The beginning I thought was great when he was doing the intro and how they were saying that, they everybody thinks that he's in the shadows and they would show the shadows thinking that he was going to come out of there.
Yep.
Phenomenal way to introduce that movie. I thought was great. So that was actually pretty cool. Well done, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was well done.
Very well done. Do you have any other notes? Interesting, fun moments within the movie that you liked, or?
No, I think that was it. I mean, I also covered a shitload of this on my own podcast, and I did it with the other guys, and we nitpicked the crap out of there too. That's what we normally do there. But no, it's just I'm hoping, again, for the future of DC and everything, I'm hoping that they give the property to fans.
Yes.
That respect the IP.
Yes.
Matt Reeves is a huge comic book nerd. He looked into everything that has to do with the lore of Batman, and he tried to bring it up. When you watch, his interview, I watched an interview with him on the Dolby podcast that they do on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He describes the filming process and the audio process of that. And this is a man that was just passionate about this, on how he can actually bring this, to the screen. And I hope that somehow, because I think that we had that with Zack Snyder, where he had a vision for all these movies to tie in together and to make it all one universe.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Matt Reeves can maybe become that person where they could say, okay, listen, let's somehow phase out this DCU because we know it's not working, or it sometimes works, or sometimes doesn't work, or somehow find a way to put it all together. I don't know. So I just think that DC, Warner Brothers, needs to have one person with a great creative vision who is a fan of the IP, who is a fan of these characters and can respect what writers and artists have done for decades with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason these characters are so popular is because of that, especially Batman, because Batman is an icon, such an iconic character that you show that bat symbol anywhere around the world,
Everybody will know it.
People know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just that it's one of the most recognizable brands out there. So I hope that they continue doing great quality stuff the way they did with this movie.
Yeah.
And if it meant that Warner Brothers had to, delay a lot of this stuff because they're like, listen, everything we have or we're about to show looks like shit compared to, what we just saw with, the Batman, and maybe we need to go back and rethink maybe certain things.
Restructure.
And go ahead. Yeah, restructure. Then do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just give us something that's, consistently good all the time. Marvel did it, and it's not to say Marvel didn't have some bad, look, what is it? Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah. Yeah,
that ranks as one of the lowest movies in the entire list, and yet I will still stay there and watch it.
Yep.
Over the first Suicide Squad, which I did not like, and some of the other stuff they've done. I mean, I'll be like, yep, give me that.
Exactly.
Because so, and you know what? And Eternals. Well, that's a whole other.
That's another one that went down the hill. A lot of people didn't like. Yeah,
yeah.
It had promise, but honestly, it just was another story that they could have gone. Well, think about what Marvel has done. They put Inhumans in the theaters, and then put it on TV, and it still didn't do well, and they pulled it out. So the Eternals is pretty much almost very similar to what was going on with that. Marvel had its flops. Look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. lasted years. Now they're pulling it. You can't even really see it on Disney Plus too much, as far as I know. And a lot of they're pulling it from its canon at certain points. So meaning that the MCU and what they're doing with the Disney Plus stuff is where we're going at.
Right.
So with that, DC just basically, they've hit it with the TV. They've done it with the cartoons. It's just the movies, they're hit and miss. Marvel has had it with the cinematic universe. Not much with the cartoons on occasion, but except for what they had in the 80s and the 70s and the 66 series Spider-Man, and if not before then. And then we're able to work on that longevity and that legend. They have a Kevin Feige who oversees everything. That it's like content moderator for the whole cinematic universe of Marvel. DC just needs that overall for their cinematic universe as well. If they could get somebody to do that like Berlanti did with the Flash, Arrowverse, and all that good stuff, and how it was able to integrate. Now, mind you, there were flops. Look at Batwoman. It didn't do well.
Still not doing well.
Legends is on its last legs, and I loved that show when it came out. And the first 4 or 5 seasons amazing. After that, it really went on a downhill spiral.
It tanked. It tanked so bad that, and I'm one of those people that I'm a completionist. It tanked so bad that the last season, same thing with Supergirl. The last season, I just couldn't do it anymore.
Same here. And I just, after Crisis, I kind of gave up, very much like what Ben and his co-host for DC Primetime, they covered it and they said, because they were covering all of the Berlanti universe on DC Primetime. They were doing multiple shows. And they jokingly stated, well, if Crisis on Infinite Earths gets done, we're going to end the podcast jokingly. Well, they realized it and he said, well, okay. Well, yeah, we're going to, because they saw where it was going. When I first saw The Flash, I loved it. And that's what really got me into it. I never watched Arrow. I tried to watch the first 3 or 4 episodes, never really got into it. But later on, I eventually gravitated towards it, watched a couple of seasons, a few seasons. And even then, Ben would tell me, well, there was a couple of seasons where it wasn't really that good with the writing. And the same thing happened with other shows that they added onto. And that's when they added on to Legends. They did Batwoman. Supergirl was pulled from Fox to the WB. Yeah. And then they integrated it and made it all one big universe. And like I said, Crisis for them, they got their TV stuff right. They got their, like the Long Halloween cartoon. The Dark Knight.
Their animated
is
universe
really good.
Is always good. So if you compare the animated DC stuff compared to the Marvel stuff, the DC stuff is by far
on top.
So much better.
Yeah.
But in the Marvel stuff, sometimes it gets some right, but most of them have been just okay.
Yes, that's all it is.
Right. But in film, it's the complete opposite of that.
They invest a lot.
Exactly. And they did really good with the fact that instead of saying, hey, we're going to put some stuff out on regular prime time or like, let's say, ABC, CBS, CW, stuff like that, they chose the Disney platform to do their episodic, stuff. And they didn't go crazy with, hey, we're going to do 20 episodes. No, we're going to do 6. Mm-hmm. That's all we need. Or we're going to do 10. And that's fine. And it started with Netflix Daredevil, which was probably till this day is still the best episodic the episodic character even with the Disney stuff out there. I mean,
you got
phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. We don't talk about Iron Fist. And then we got the Defenders. But the thing is that we covered that here on Panels to Pixels podcast. And that's how we started. I started with Punisher. And then we went back to the well and talked about Defenders. We talked about Daredevil when they were coming out. Luke Cage, we covered those. And they were phenomenal for what they were because there was no holds barred. Because it didn't have to be PG or PG-13. They nailed those particular characters to the point, but recently with Hawkeye, they were able to bring in the Kingpin.
Correct. And that's a great show. That was just a great show. And the fact that they heard what fans wanted.
Yes, they're listening to the fans.
Yeah, all the fans said, listen, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Punisher, all these shows on Netflix were great. And for you to try to redo that, you already have it there. You have the property already set. Mm-hmm. You have that world set. And that world is set within the MCU. So why not just keep going with it? And you know what? They listened to them, and now it's actually, as a matter of fact, Disney just announced the fact that they're going to put, all the Netflix shows in there. And of course, they're going to do parental controls for kids.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense, even though other countries have been seeing some rated R stuff on Disney Plus for now months, if not,
for over a year, since the very beginning, over 2 years.
Yeah. So it's just us Americans are just,
we're kind of we're stuffy.
Exactly.
It's like we don't want nudity, we want gore or blood or cursing.
No, exactly. But I like the fact that yes, the Marvel part of it especially filming and, and the episodic stuff,
Mhm.
you got somebody that really does say, hey, this is where it's supposed to go. And again, I really, really hope that either they listen to Matt Reeves or somebody in Warner Brothers just say, you know what, Zack Snyder had it right.
Yes.
Why don't we just tap into this fucking guy's head and see what he has? Because you know what? In the end, all these companies are about making money.
Me and Kevin
And
Feige didn't want to say Zack Snyder.
Huh?
You don't want to say Zack Snyder. You want to say Kevin Feige.
Well, no, I mean, yeah. No, but I mean, for like the DC stuff, tap in at Zack Snyder and say, hey, everybody wants to make money. So he probably has great ideas, and they just kind of let him go. And
yeah, that was like Schumacher. He went a little bit too overzealous with his own thing and made it his own artsy fartsy thing from the 70s, But
oh my god! And something I discussed with the other guys was that all the Batman movies, all of them had great actors. It's unfortunate that they were in those movies.
yes,
Because I think George Clooney would have been a phenomenal Batman.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was in a phenomenal Bruce Wayne because he's a good-looking man. He has that gravitas about him. He also has, just more of that presence of
who he is.
who he is
yeah.
and how, and like an older Batman or something like, and if he would have been in a version of what Matt Reeves does, like maybe in the later years, awesome.
Yeah.
Because George Clooney, makes fun of himself when when it comes to that movie, but yeah, it's just I don't think it's the actors. I think it's more the
the material,
the people behind the scenes. You got the executives who are they think they know best. They all they're thinking is like, well, we got to do this because this is how we're going to make money. If you do it right, you're going to make the money.
Yeah.
Just respect the IP, and that's my my thing for today.
All right.
Fucking executives, just respect the IP. All right, look at what Matt Reeves did. It's awesome.
All right. Well, that was basically our coverage and our thoughts. We're going to move right along into news. So we got a little bit of sad news because this past weekend we lost somebody from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, somebody that was supposed to be there for a bunch of films. Mr. Thunderbolt Ross himself, William Hurt, passed away.
I just heard about this the other day, and I was trying to look for news about that, and I didn't see that. But yeah, no, that's actually very sad, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's a sad passing, as we all know within the comics. Thunderbolt Ross was basically Bruce Banner's nemesis throughout his comic book run. Betty Ross's father. He also eventually became Red Hulk.
right.
And then, he was obviously part of creating the Thunderbolts that a lot of us, myself included, were theorizing that eventually they would bring out within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I guess we'll find out what they do with that particular character within the next couple of movies, because apparently William Hurt finished up all his shots for the She-Hulk TV show. So he's finished all that old principal photography and everything was already done. So that will probably be the last thing that we see from William Hurt. But it's a sad loss in film history as well, because he was a very great actor, and it's sad to lose somebody like that. But
phenomenal actor, and great body of work on the stuff that he did. And then when he got into the MCU, people loved him for that part. He was great.
Yeah. Other news, beneficial to this particular podcast, you'll be hearing me again. Obviously, this is the first time back since Steve, Lara, and Daphne have taken over and have been covering. Obviously, Steve's been covering The Witcher with Lara, our friend Lara, for the past number of weeks, if not months, as well as with Daphne on Snowpiercer, and doing such a great and phenomenal job with, getting their thoughts out, expanding on what was going on with those particular podcasts, and editing as well. I just do the final edits. So ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to that, all I do is add in little small nitpick stuff. So that's all I did and upload them. So you have to give credit where credit's due, and Steve's been doing a phenomenal job. But after this particular podcast, once after this releases, obviously we're recording this on the 16th of March. I'm going to be in Pandemic for the weekend in Atlanta, but this will be released the following week, so you get to hear it then. But guess what comes out towards the end of the month? Moon Knight. So I will be back with Steve, and we'll be covering Moon Knight. So
yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Check back out for that. Obviously, Rob already mentioned it. Flash has been pushed back, so we have to wait a long while for that. We did get our trailer for Miss Marvel for Disney Plus. That's coming out as well. And
what did you think about that?
It's interesting. A lot of fans are in a little uproar based upon her powers, but mind you, was I a big fan of the actual character? Not really. Did they kind of cut a few corners? Yes. But
yeah,
honestly, these are adaptations from comic to cinematic, or what they look to do with that particular character. So I'm curious to see what they come up with. A lot of people were very skeptical of a Hawkeye film or show, and look what they did with that. And now we might get the Young Avengers like we all think they might be moving forward to, or when Skrull Secret Invasion comes in, who knows? There's going to be more stuff to talk about.
Correct.
But also, I'm sure House Podcastica, who is a fan or friends of the actual network itself, because Ben Beck himself has been on Podcastica doing the Wheel of Time, as well as he did a collaboration doing The Stand not too long ago with Rima on Strange Indeed. And they're going to be covering Obi-Wan for House Podcastica. So check that out when that comes out.
Great trailer on that, man. I saw that, and I just, let me tell you, when that Duel of the Fates came on, I was like, finally. Finally. But yeah, great. I can't wait for that one too.
All right. Well, with that, to submit your feedback, as you all know, we can be heard on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast player of choice. And if there is a rating or review, please do that if you can. And be honest. It's fine. The best place to go is Apple Podcasts. That is highly revered, apparently. You can also check out our website. That would be panelstopixelspodcast.com. And for you to submit any feedbacks or theories from stuff that we've already podcasted about, you can just send them to our Facebook page, which would be facebook.com/panelstopixels. Honestly, Steve's been posting everything up weekly, so you could submit your feedback. We haven't really been receiving any of it, but if you feel that you want to send any feedback or message, do so there. You could also find us on Twitter. We have a Twitter page, and it's at panels2pixels, and that's panels and the number 2 and pixels. You could email us at panelstopixels1@gmail.com. There, and you could actually just write a full-out email if you want. We'll read it on the podcast. Like I stated, it could be a past podcast that we talked about, or what we're covering currently, which at the end of the month, obviously, Moon Knight. And if you feel like you don't want to write anything out, just record your voice and attach it to your email, and we'll play it, and we'll talk about it on the podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us there, and all you have to do is search for Panels to Pixels podcast. Do not search just for Panels to Pixels. I love Josh. He's overseas in England, but that's a completely different YouTube channel. So just look for Panels to Pixels podcast. And while you're there, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content. A lot of people like to listen to it there. There's an Instagram page as well, at Panels to Pixels podcast, as it is. Spelled out accordingly. And with that, we'd like for you to check out all the other podcasts on the Next Level Online Radio Podcast Network. And we highly recommend Wilhelm. Now, Wilhelm has changed. Ben has merged Wilhelm with the Spotlight, so they're one and the same. He's going to be doing his interviews there with celebrities, as well as the overall Wilhelm, which would be movies, and TV. So check that out. All you have to do is search for Wilhelm in any of your podcast players of choice, and then just subscribe to them. I don't think the older feed is up, so I think he took that down, which is good. We also recommend The Melting Pat, Lost We Have to Go Back with Ben and Kristen, and Podcast Zero. And there's so much more. All you have to do is go to the nextlevelradioonline.com and check that out. And, well, where else can listeners hear us? Well, Rob, you have a podcast.
Yes, so our podcast is Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, which you could hear us in, just like Mark, in all your favorite podcast apps. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter. We also have our own email, which is fantasypicksmovieedition@gmail.com. And our podcast is basically about us picking apart overhyped movies that didn't make it on the box office or with critics, and we go over what went wrong, and then we put our own spin on it, and we would say, hey, what could have made it better? So we do our own fantasy picks, whether it's on cast or it's on the story itself. So it's a lot of fun. It's we're always on there, just trying to pick apart these movies and for fun.
Yeah.
And trying to play executive and stuff like that, and so yeah, so check us out.
Yep, yeah. If you could change the movie that you always had a problem with, that is literally what they're doing. You could change the story, change the actor, do whatever you want. You could actually hear me there. We covered Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so you could check that out. By the time you hear this, most likely that's been out, and you could laugh at our thoughts on that particular episode.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so yeah, check us out. It's a fun thing. It's all for fun. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So far, we've done pretty good with it.
Awesome. And I'll be putting all your information into the show notes so people could link onto that, whether it be through the podcast player of choice or through YouTube. So check that out. And where else can I be heard? Well, all your listeners already know that. Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on the Pirate Car Entertainment Network. And there we cover action films, adventure films, and suspense and thriller films. So, oddly enough, recently, after you hear this, you'll probably be able to go back and hear Airplane with the pod father himself and the pod mother, Rima. So Mr. Jason Kabassi and Rima Joe are accompanying me on that journey and laughing a lot and having a good time talking about the movie Airplane from 1980. So go there and listen to that. So not only do you have to listen to something adrenaline-filled, you listen to something that's funny and fun-filled. Yeah. So after that, you'll get to hear Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with Megan and myself. I'm still working out the kinks on that, so that will be out soon enough as well. So I just want to thank Rob for you to be on. That was amazing.
Oh, well, thank you, man. This was great, man. I had a lot of fun, and it's a pleasure doing this with you. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I am Rob.
And this was Panels to Pixels. And we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.